As I found that Zoom again.
Yeah, about
I know her name. I know her voice. Recording in progress.
Okay. Starting a new parak, Yud Gimel of Kuf Zayin. And the parak seems to be about Miyun, not about Yevamos too much. It has a connection to Yevamos, but it's not only Yevamos. The first Mishnah talks about Miyun, as we said, Miyun means when there's a Kedushin D'Rabbanan that Chazal instituted for Ketana, for a minor girl that doesn't have a father. With the Raisa, father is allowed to marry off his daughter, and it becomes Kedushin D'Raisa. But if there's no father, so then there is no possibility to do Kedushin. And it will be that the girl can't get married until she becomes an adult. And that was a dangerous thing in those days, maybe nowadays also, but we don't have this culture anymore. But Chazal instituted that she should be able to be married with Rabbanan, even without the father. And it's a Kedushin Rabbanan. Usually it talks about the mother and the brother, not because the mother and the brother have any more cause than anybody else. Probably she could do it herself also. But usually I guess the mother and the brother are the ones who are taking care of her. So that's the institution of Kedushin Rabbanan, and they made that if she wants to absolve the marriage, she could. That's called miyun. The word miyun means to refuse, and she does say she doesn't want, and then the whole thing is absolved, even though mafreya retroactively there was no marriage at all. In the past we had different nafkaminas about that. Here, the first Mishnah talks about the subject of miyun, and it comes out five machloks in between Shammai and Beis Hillel. That's a overview on the whole Mishnah. 5 machloks between Shammai and Beis Hillel as far as miyun. So the first machlok is Shammai Yomrim. Ein Raman el Arusos, Beis Hillel Yomrim Arusos and Nesuas. Try to make this the periods over here to know where they stop. That's the first one. So Beis Shammai says that it's only possible to do miyun only when she's a rusa. Rusa means kedushin, but it was not in the sunnah. Means that he married her Haret Mukudeshesli with a bazu. He gave her a ring, whatever would be Shavapruta, and she's a mureses. Which again, just to remind again, the word arusa doesn't mean like it means nowadays engagement. That's a mistranslation. It means kedushin, and she's fully married, but they didn't consummate the marriage yet. They didn't have the sunnah. They didn't live with each other. So according to Beis Shammai, the whole possibility, the whole invention of doing miyun is only before they live together. They say, so even after the sunnah, also it's possible that she could refuse him and get out. That's the first machlokes. According to the question would be, if the husband died, and now she falls to the yavam, is it possible for her still to get out of the marriage? Beis Shammai says only to the husband. It means as long as the husband is alive, then she could do miyun to the husband. But once the husband dies and now she falls to the yavam, it's impossible to do miyun anymore. You might think that she could do miyun and absolve the marriage retroactively, and then she's not connected to the yavam either. So Beis Shammai says no. There's only miyun to the husband as long as he's alive. Once he's dead, then there's no more possibility of miyun. The word simply with the words would have meant that even after she falls to the yavam, she also could absolve the whole marriage retroactively. But we'll see in the Gemara that it's not so simple. That was the second machlokes. The next one. Those are going to be the 5 machlokes. The third one. How do you do miyun? How do you do it? So according to Beis Shammai, dafka in front of the husband. The husband has to be there, and she tells him in front of him that I refuse, I want out, and that's how you absolve it. But Beis Hillel says even if it's not in front of him, even not in his presence, she could also say she doesn't want him, and it's absolved even though he's not there. That was the third one. Fourth machlokes. Beis Shammai Yomrim bebezdin, Beis Hillel Omrim bebezdin, B'shalom bebezdin. According to Beis Shammai, dafka in bezdin, it comes out that it's very official. According to Beis Shammai, has to be with a bezdin, 3 people. You also have to have the husband should be there. But according to Beis Hillel, you don't need any of these things. So it doesn't have to be a bezdin. Simple pshat. The words would sound like you don't need a bezdin. You might have to have eidim just to be able to give her proof that she did it, but not that you need it. Not that you need for the chalos. Just that if you blow another way.
I said it.
And Beis Hillel says, Beis Shammai says you need a bezdin. Beis Hillel says you don't need a bezdin. Simple words in the Mishnah would mean you don't need a bezdin. If you don't need a Bezdin, so you don't need anybody. Do you have to have Aiden? Maybe just in order to prove, just for proof, not an actual chalos. The chalos should happen even if she says to him privately, according to Basilo, you don't need the fun of, even if he doesn't have to even have to say him, even if he's not there himself. So that seems to be 4 machlokas. And now one more machlokas. Here's a little bit more elaborate. She could do me many times. Means that she got married to somebody, and then she refuses. She goes out. She marries somebody else. She's still a ketana. She can marry a second time, and again she doesn't want. And she can marry a third one, even 5 times. She can do it again and again because the invention that Chazal made that she can get married and do mian is not limited to one time. That sounds like if Keros that she'll be marrying to many men and but she only can do it one time. Sounds like she does mian one time, then she has to wait till she grows up and to get married. But the question is, what it says again with Timoin? That's strange. The last word over here with Timoin, she says she did already mian. She says enes, and then she waits till she grows up, and then she mine again. That doesn't fit. Those words don't seem to make sense.
Right.
That the Gemara is going to ask.
So Rashi's.
Beis Hillel is not arguing with him or her.
He is. No, they are. They do. Beis Hillel says even 4 or 5 times. Beis Shammai says only once, and then she waits till she becomes an adult. Rashi just says the Gemara is going to ask that. That doesn't make sense. Rashi says that the more public, no reason to be mine 2 times. So Rashi just knows that we're going to ask the kasha. So Rashi says, hold on, the Gemara is going to talk about it. That's the Mishnah. Just to sum it up again, the Mishnah says 5 machlokas in between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel as far as mian goes. First one is, could she do mian even after she did nisuin, even after she had relations with his husband? Beis Shammai says no, only before relations, only by erusin alone. Once she has nisuin, no more. Beis Shammai says also only as long as the husband is alive. Once he died, then there's no more mian to the yavam. And Beis Hillel says yes. The third one is Beis Shammai says not in front of him in the presence of the husband. She says I don't want. Beis Hillel says even if he's not there. Number 4, Beis Shammai says only with a bezdin. Beis Hillel says even without a bezdin. And the last one is Beis Hillel says many times she could do it again and again to different husbands, same husband, different husbands, no difference. And Beis Shammai says only one time.
We pass like Beis Hillel.
Pass on Beis Hillel, all across the board. So according to Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai, let's put it all together. Beis Shammai would say only in Arusa, only as long as the husband is alive, only in front of him, only with a bezdin, and only one time. And Beis Hillel argues in all those 5 points, even from the Suin, even to the Yavam, even Shalom B'fanav, even without a bezdin, and even many times.
What does it mean exactly?
She says, I don't want. The word miyonti means to refuse. And she says, I don't want this marriage. So okay, it's over. It's not only is it over, it's even absolved retroactively, and it never was.
Means that she's a katana, and either her father does it or
no. The father, when the father marries her off, it's kedushin daraisa, and then she's mamash married, then she
no more
mian. It's only for this kind of kedushin darabanan that Rabbanan invented. It's very different.
Only a sister or a brother.
What?
Only a
brother or mother.
The mother and the brother. So we said the mother and brother is not Africa because they didn't give any more authority to the mother and brother than anybody else. She could do it herself also. It doesn't mean who's taking care of her, the mother and the brother.
But so she can marry off herself.
I think so. Yeah. But usually that's not how it works. Usually, but there could be a marriage with Rabbanan. As far as I know, there's no more authority to the mother and the brother more than herself. And as long as she doesn't want, she goes out. She says she doesn't want. The husband is going to take care of his wife. This the kedushin Rabbanan means the rights that they're not married. But the rights that they're not married. They're just living together as husband and wife, but it's a fake out, not really married. And usually it would be improper to do such a thing. They're living with a woman, not married. But the Rabbanan said that it's appropriate, since we don't want this girl to be hefker, that she has no father, and who knows what's going to happen to her. So we want it to be under the husband. So we made a husband to Rabbanan. We invented husband to Rabbanan, but we gave her the option of absolving it whenever she wants. And she doesn't need a get. Usually it's the husband's choice. If he wants to give a get, if he doesn't want to give, she's under his jurisdiction. A wife cannot force a get. But
also she needs to get before she goes.
No, she does not need a get.
She doesn't.
She does says me. She does says I'm saying usually, right?
And
then the whole thing is over. Right.
The next day she goes and she lives with somebody else.
Oh, so that's what Beis Shammai said. Beis Shammai says only one time.
Right.
Beis Hillel says do it again.
Right.
And she's not living with it, she's marrying. She has a marriage, but the marriage is a marriage of Rabbanan.
Right.
And she again could
doesn't need to get.
Doesn't need a get. She could absolve. She's the one who has the ability to
it's like Beis Shammai says she could, to have a good time.
But she's not having a good time. She's getting married. Oh, he's saying she's going to do it in a way that she's
Yeah,
not,
so
not married. If she has the
Katana,
answer.
she can be
Ah,
with
she'll
five
be-
guys
she'll be
in
answering.
5 weeks.
Uh-huh,
Or
uh-huh.
less.
And he's saying she might not have a good
Yeah.
a
that's
good
what
intention
she-
with all
right.
that. Okay.
But if the father's alive, then
If the father marries her off, then it's condition the rice, and then she's fully
She
married.
can't marry herself if the father says no.
No. And if he does marry her off,
Yeah.
then she's married with the rice, and then there's no, then she needs a get.
Okay.
And then it's the husband's
This is
decision. Then it's a regular marriage.
It's only when it's not the father. Gotcha. Great.
The more starts, and the reason is the first Amud is going to be mostly what is the reason of Beis Shammai in the first machlokas. The first machlokas was if if this girl could do mion after nisuin, if they had relations, if the husband had nisuin, they consummated the marriage, could she still do mion? According to Beis Hillel, yes. According to Beis Shammai, no. Let's go back to the first machlokas over here. That's going to be the whole page. That Beis Shammai says, "Ein manin ela rusos." And that's going to be the discussion. The person like Beis Hillel, that even in the Suah also. But Beis Shammai says only in a Rusa, we want to know
Right.
why.
That's very surprising because I figured all the time that she was really married.
Right. And that's Beis Hillel. You're right. According to Beis Hillel, that's Allah. But according to Beis Shammai, there's only Miyun at the stage of Beirisin. After that, once she doesn't do it, she can't do Miyun anymore. And she's in. So the Gemara wants to know why. The whole thing is Rabbanan. So the whole question is in the Gidrei Rabbanan, the way the Rabbanan defined this new invention, how do they define it? So the Gemara is going to discuss why did they make it so that only can do miyan as far when there's only an arusa. Once there's in a sewer, she can't do it anymore. So that's going to be the discussion. We're going to have 4 reasons. So the first one is Shmuel. Everyone's discussing the reasons. The first one is Shmuel. My time at the Beis Shammai. How come once she's in a sewer, you can't do any more miyan? If you ain't tonight in the sewer, the sewer tonight see the memar yes tonight in the sewer. It's a gzeira. It's a gzeira that people might think, how does this girl going out? We knew that she's married, and now she's not married, and we didn't have any get. So it's, people don't know this concept of miyun well enough, and they see a woman who's married, and all of a sudden she's not married. What happened? They know there was no get, so they're going to think there must have been a condition when they got married. There was a condition. We spoke about this once upon a time before. You could make a condition when you're married. You could say, "I'm marrying you on the condition so and so." But that's as far as the kedushin, the first stage. But when he made it in the suin, he mamish consummated the marriage. Could you also say that he's only doing it on the condition? And if a condition was not fulfilled, so then the suin also is absolved. It was conditional. So there's a svara to say that people don't make conditions when they actually marry. If they consummated the marriage, they don't make any conditions. It could be because they don't want to have that their relationship comes out that it wasn't really marriage. Could be that's the reason. Other reasons also maybe. But here, the Gemara is going to say that's the reason coming up soon. But here is a shita that says, "Ain't tonight been the that a person doesn't make conditions when he does the suin, when he makes kedushin, he makes it tonight. When he only does the eris and he gives her a ring on condition, but once he had relations with her, then it's unconditional. So here, when a person sees this girl married, they had the suin already, they know that she's married, they consummated the marriage, this katana, and then they see that she's out back home again. What happened? They didn't have any get. They're going to come to the conclusion it must have been that there was a tanai. They're not going to realize that it was a katana, the truth. The truth was really she was a katana, and she did miyan, but they're not going to realize that. And they're going to think the reason how the marriage got absolved is because there must have been a condition. Oh, you can make a condition even after Nisuin. And they're going to learn out that you can make a condition even by Nisuin, and that's not true. Ain't tonight been Nisuin. Nisuin to mine, I'll say the mema, yes, tonight been Nisuin. If this young girl is going to do miyan even after Nisuin, people will think that you can make tonight been Nisuin even by Gedola, and that's wrong. In order to avoid that problem, we said that there's no miyan by a Nisuin. Okay, am I good? It's clear that there is really, it could have made miyan by Nesua, but people will think that it was a Tanai by Nesua, and they'll think that even by Gedola, you can make a Tanai, and really, that's unconditional. Just a little parentheses over here. Just, I think that helps a little bit to make the parentheses just to show what we're doing. The Gemara Sakasha, according to this, how about Nichnas al Chuppah below Nevala, Ma'ikel Meimar? What if she came into the husband's domain? He brought her into his house, but they didn't have relations yet. Yeah, called it Yichud came home. She came home, and the Gemara thinks that also she cannot do miyan anymore. Means included in Beis Shammai that saying only eris and not nesuin means that even if she came into the chuppah, also it's too late to do
She did not come to the,
Miyun.
she did not come, she did not come to the chuppah.
She came to the chuppah. She came into his house, but they didn't have relations yet.
She
She came home, she's in his house. Yeah, chuppah. They called it, but it means coming home. She comes into his domain, but they didn't have relations yet. And Beis Shammai would not allow Miyun then either. Once she, not only actually having relations, but even that's called Nisuin. Nisuin is also called the chuppah. Coming into the husband's domain, the Shammai would say she can't do Miyun anymore. And according to the reason is because ain't Tanai ben Nisuin, so does the reason still apply? What if a person made a chuppah? Is that, and then he made a condition? Is that unconditional? We said the person can make a condition in Erison. He can't make in the Nisuin. How about in the stage in between when there was a chuppah but they didn't have relations yet? Could he make a Tanai over there? So the Gemara is wondering about it. The Gemara says, if he ain't Tanai b'chuppah also. The Gemara says if he ain't Tanai b'chuppah also. That once a person made a chuppah, also it became unconditional. Rashi talks about that the fact that a person was happy about the fact that he has a chuppah, either in the suin or the chuppah, so then it makes it unconditional already. We said the reason before might have been because he doesn't want to have a bilas nus l'mafreya. If it comes out that condition didn't keep, so then it comes out that it wasn't a marriage. He doesn't want to have relations without a marriage. It could be the reason is because he's happy about the fact chibas chuppah, chibas nesuin, the fact that he had that opportunity, so he makes it unconditional already. He's happy about the fact that he made a chasana. It was a nice, happy chasana, a nice band, the nice friends, everything came, he was happy. Because of that, he makes it unconditional already. Whatever the reason might be. So also, Tanai b'chuppah. Once a person makes a chuppah, it's unconditional. So the same gzera applies. The same gzera that we said a second ago. If you're going to make miyun by nesuin, people will think that there's a Tanai by nesuin. Also, if you're going to be able to do it after chuppah, people will think that there's a Tanai b'chuppah. They'll see this girl going after the chuppah. They see that she's going back home again. No more marriage. What happened? It must be because it was a Tanai. They're not going to realize it was because she was a ketana and she didn't miyun. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want people to go out thinking that it's possible to make a Tanai by chuppah, and therefore we say there's no miyun by chuppah.
And today the halacha, they have the chasana, let's say they go to the room, but they don't sleep together. They don't sleep together. We know they can sleep
She's
together.
called in a suah already. She's called in a suah.
And then she needs to get.
She needs to get even before that. She needs to get from the kedushin already. As soon as you say about Mekudesh, sleep, even no chuppah.
He says,
he gives her money, so she's married.
I don't want to go through it.
She's a
Unless it's a mecca toes.
Oh yeah, if it was a mistake, something comes out that this was a mistake. We didn't mean this at all. Then it's not a marriage at all. That's not called a marriage.
I heard of a case where the bride came out of the yichud room crying, and her father said, "What happened?" He said, "He slapped me and said, I don't know if it's just a story or not, but let's say
That's a story.
Okay,
Theoretical
just a
story. Theoretical story.
A theoretical story. He slapped her and said, "This is just to show you who's boss," or something.
Wow.
And the father said,
That's it.
"It's off. This is not a wedding. It's off." And it was like a mecca toes, as far as what I understood. Does that sound correct?
I imagine that. I imagine she needs to get. Probably they went straight to the row and they got a get, and that's how it became off. Not that it was not a marriage.
Not that it was not a marriage.
But if she finds out, if they made a condition, Mecca thoughts would be that that definitely the marriage was not made under such. Of course, you say if he comes out to see such kind of person, I didn't mean that. I don't think they would give a permission to marry without a gift. But they'd force him to give a gift.
I see.
Okay. And then I said one more question.
That's a good story. It could be true.
Hard to
I've heard a couple of
believe.
versions of it.
Hard to believe.
I've heard a couple of versions of it.
Oh, yeah, or something
My
that
brother.
he wasn't nice to her.
Brother.
Huh?
Must have
My brother. I heard a couple of versions.
Next question, similar. That what if it didn't even happen to chuppah yet? Just that the father gave her over to the shluchi abal. Means it wasn't. Not always is it everyone living in the same place, and the bride is coming to the husband, and the husband sends an escort to bring her. That's called that the father gives her over to the emissaries that are coming, the delegation that's coming to take the bride to the husband's town. So that's also called Nisuin. That's once he gives her over, even though she didn't come into the Rishus. Also it comes out that Beis Shammai is going to say he can't do miyun anymore. Means she's been a kedushin, she's an arus already. For let's say it was a year in those days. Used to be nowadays we do it all together under the chuppah. But in those days they used to do eris and then wait a long time, about a year, that everyone should get ready, and then they would do Nisuin. And here, even if they didn't actually come into the house, just the husband, the father gave her over to the emissary of the delegation of the husband. also is called Nisuin, and it's too late to do Miran. Why is that? Yeah, surely you can make it tonight. There's no, we're not going to say Ein tonight in Masira. Here, there's no reason why this should be unconditional. So the whole reason why you're saying you can't do Miran is because Xera might say that it's a tonight. Here it doesn't apply. And this the Gemara answer is Lo Polo Rabbanan. This once they made Nisuin, so they said that once there's a Nisuin, even if it's technical Nisuin, which doesn't apply the problem about tonight, also they said you can't do Miran anymore.
I have a question on this. I thought that you said that when the father does it, it's deraisa and there is no meal. So why is the father giving it over? Why isn't it somebody else?
I see, right. So here, I didn't notice that, but probably it's going to ask me that the mother and the brother gave her over.
The mother and the brother.
In the case where I was talking about that, she came to the husband, but there's no father. You're pointing out there's no father over here. The whole story here, there's no father. So it's a nice point. I didn't think of it. Nice. I imagine
Because
somebody
has to be without a father.
Right. If there's a father, then there's not a man. The father's making a real marriage. So the you're right. So this means that she was given over to the Shluchi Abal by the family, but she's not yet in the chuppah. And still, you can't do anything anymore.
You're okay. You're on the ball.
And that's to finish off the first reason. Well, Basil, but why is Basil not holding this chash? Isn't it a nice pshat that there's a problem of Tanai ben Nesuin, and therefore once you're going to say that there's Mion, they might think that it was a Tanai. So Basil is not kosher for that. But Basil made the Yadi, the Nesuin Ketana Rabbanan. There's no reason to make such a gzeira because everybody knows that kedushin of a Ketana, Nesuin Ketana is only Rabbanan. The whole thing's Rabbanan, and they're not going to, if they see the girl that she got Nesuin, and then they see her that the marriage is off, she's back home again, and where's the get? They're not going to say, oh, it must have been a Tanai. They're not going to make this mistake because they know that the Nesuin of Ketana is Rabbanan, and they know such thing as Mion, and you could absolve it. So there's no reason to make a gzeira. Means they do agree to everything else. That ain't Tanai ben Nesuin and ain't Tanai b'chuppah, but they don't agree that there's a reason to make a chash and say therefore don't do Mion. All this so far was the first reason of Shmuel. That the reason of Beishamai is because a gzeira, people might come to think there's a Tanai ben Nesuin. The next reason, the next pshat in Beishamai. Rabbi Rav Yosef, Tami Tavayu, Taima de Beishamai, the Fishena don't also be lost. That if you say that Mion happens, it works even after the Nesuin, what happens? That she got married, Kedushin Drabanan, she's a minor, and she had relations with the husband already, and then she's going to refuse. She's going to say, I want out. So it comes out retroactively, the relations that they had was not a marriage. It wasn't even a marriage Drabanan. The whole thing is absolved retroactively. So people don't do that. Since people don't do that, not that the Rabbanan wouldn't have done it. The Rabbanan would have said it's okay. The Rabbanan would have told them it's okay, make the marriage, and if it comes absolved Rabbanan, then they'll pray, okay, but you didn't do anything wrong. But people don't like that. People themselves personally don't like to do that. And Rashi explains that if you're going to say that she has the ability to absolve the marriage retroactively, even after they had relations, people are not going to marry. We're going to lose. We're not going to get these husbands. We want to get husbands. We want to get people. We want to get chasanim that should be maskim to marry these girls. We have these yevamos that have no father and they're not married. We want them to get married. And now, if we're going to say that she has the right to absolve the marriage even after they had relations, people are not going to want to marry her because she might absolve it after they had relations. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want to have this headache that he ended up having relations with her and it wasn't a marriage.
But she's only when a katana.
She's a katana, yeah. This is the case. She's a katana, and she's. So
we want girls to get married when the katana.
Yeah. That was the whole purpose. The whole purpose of this was because if not, then she's going to be hefker. Yeah, she has no father, and she's not.
So she's going to from katana a year or no?
From age 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, till she's a gedola, it's possibly wanted to get married. So when there's a father, he takes care of her, he gets her married. But when there's no father, she can't marry. What's going to be with this young girl that's not married?
So Chazal, 5 years old, they can get married.
Yes, wow. Yes. The culture was different in those days. Probably it was safer and everything. But nowadays it doesn't happen. But really, Chazal were bothered that it's not possible for this girl to get married until she's 12 was going to be with her. So they gave her a marriage Rabbanan. And now we're talking about after the Nesuin, is it possible to absolve it? So here, Rabbi Yosef say that people are not going to want to marry her if she'll be able to absolve it even after that relations. He doesn't feel comfortable that it comes out that his relations with this girl were without a marriage. Even though everyone would say it's fine, you did good, you in fact married her, and if it's absolved the Marfreya, it's also fine, but he wouldn't do it. And therefore, we said that she can't, once you do the Nesuin, once you have relations, so then she can't absolve it anymore. And again, they want the same kasha more or less as before, is going to be that it only applies after they have relations. How about if they didn't have relations? How about just nichnas al chuppah? All this goes back again, that if they didn't have relations, just came into the chuppah, came into his house. There's no chash over there that in the Mosabilas Nosi didn't have any bila. Also, also, he doesn't like bringing her into his house that it was for the purpose of having relations, and then it comes out, she says, I want to go home. He doesn't like that either. The whole environment, the whole avira that he took him into his house, yichud, whatever you want to say, for the purpose of having relations, and then she says he doesn't want that either. So he wouldn't marry her either if she could refuse once he brought her into his house. How about
what's the isura example?
that? Isura means that it could come out that they'll have relations with for the purpose of relations, which wasn't supposed to be. It means Rashi says there's words of Isura was Rashi over here.
That it wasn't like for marriage.
Right. It comes out that
It's like it tastes like Zeus.
Right. The Isura the Bila's nus. Not that there was a nus, but it was for the purpose of right. Means she came into the house for the purpose of having relations, which wasn't supposed to be. Even that he doesn't like. And if you're going to tell him that she has the right to refuse even after she comes into the house, he said, I don't want this kind of marriage. I'm not going to marry her. And the last thing is, Masr al V'shluchi Abal, which Leibach pointed out, it's not really the father, but it means that the family gave her over to the husband. Also, Bishamai says he can't do this soon anymore. What's he worried about? Michael Meimar. Yeah, there's no problem. The husband won't have any second thoughts. I'm not going to marry her if she could back out after she was given over to the shluchim. That doesn't bother him. But lo polo gabana, that's a low plug. They didn't differentiate. They said that Nesua cannot do Mion because of these reasons of the most nus, even though it doesn't apply in this last case, but we also said it as a low plug. And again, they still Chivandika Kedushin Psuba lo also Lamema the nus. They said the most explaining why we still doesn't hold this problem. Why are they not choshish? Because people don't look at it the bilas nus. People know that she came in for marriage, and even if she refuses and retroactively it is absolved, but they don't look at it like it was a bilas nus, not the husband, not people. It doesn't have a bad taste to anybody because he intended for marriage purposes. And if it's absolved retroactively, so it wasn't a bad thing. So people, no reason to say that she can't, no one's going to not marry her because she'll be able to absolve it. And then it's going to be retroactively relations without a marriage. People don't look at it like that. So there's no chance. Not a reason to stop the possibility to do me. The third reason. Now it goes into a monetary issue. There's a monetary issue that consideration Beishamai had not to allow Mion after an Asuan. But the Gemara explains both sides. Time of the Beishamai Mishum Peri, time of the Beisol Mishum Peri. Everybody is interested in the monetary issue over here that might have ramifications if she's allowed to do Mion. The halacha is that once there's Nisuin, the husband has rights to the profits of his wife's estate. Means the wife brings in money, estate, whatever it is, and it belongs to her. Next time it belongs to her. And if the marriage is ended at the time he divorces her or he dies, she gets it back. But he has a right to eat the profits of that estate. That's called payment. Not only fruit of a tree, any kind of produce, any kind of profits that comes out of the estate of the woman, the husband has a right to eat it. Now, when does he start getting that? At the time of the suin. From the Erusin, he doesn't get it. From the Nisuin, that's when he gets it. So everyone's concerned about being able to absolve it after the Nisuin. To make a kaiman. According to Beishamai, going into the psychology of the husband, if from the Nisuin he started eating peros and she could absolve it at any time. If you would allow her to absolve it at any time, even after the Nisuin, then with choshish that the husband is going to be aggressive and try to get as many peros as he can without investing in this estate, because it might come out that she's going to absolve the whole marriage. So he's going to be trying to extract as much as he could without putting into it.
Is like to extract.
Shamit
usually is like to release.
To release. I don't know.
From her. Shamit he's going to take it away from her. Right?
I don't have an exact translation of the word Shamit. I don't know. If anybody has, please help me out. But the point is going to be that he's going to, with suspect that he's going to abuse the right of his parents, that since he knows anytime she could say she doesn't want, so he's going to try to get out of the parents as much as he can. And therefore we told him that once you do Nisuin, she can't leave. So then he's comfortable, he's calm, he's not out there to get as much as he can. He'll, like any husband, he invests, he used to parents, but he invests like it'd be his own property that he puts into it, he takes out of it, but he's doing it with a sense of responsibility. But if he knows that he's going to be, might be taken away. So then he might try to get as much of it as he can.
So this is in protection of the girl.
Right. And Beisil also is interested in protecting, but Beisil says the opposite psychology. Well, Beisil al-Adrabah, on the contrary, given the Amritin Moin, Ashbuchi Mashbachla, Saba, the Ilo, Aitzi la Krobeha, Umaki la Mine. The same issue, we want to make sure he doesn't misuse the property, but Beisil says the psychology is the opposite, that the husband thinks that I better take care of this property that I've got over here, because if not, then the relatives are going to say, what kind of husband is that? Refuse. So
It won't go good on his resume afterwards.
I don't think it means afterwards. It means he wants to have the girl. He doesn't just want the parents. He wants the marriage to go through. So if you're going to say that by giving him the option,
Oh, it gives her a incentive to stay in the marriage.
it gives him an incentive to take care of the property by the fact that she can leave whenever she wants to. If by giving her the
If she
option,
sees, like you said, give her a lot of candy and stuff.
yeah,
She sees that he's taking care of the property, she won't be so quick to
right.
go out and get out.
So by giving him the opportunity, by giving her the option to leave, he'll take better care of the property. So everyone's taking care of the property. Hishamai says that don't allow her to leave, because if you allow her to leave, he might be aggressive and trying to get as much as he can before she leaves. And Basil says she won't leave because he'll be good.
What's the ITC?
Eitzah, they'll advise him. The words
They
are,
won't
on the
advise.
contrary, if you're going to say that she could be mine, like I'm saying,
Yeah.
so then he's going to improve the property, because he thinks, if I don't improve the property, so then the Krovim, the relatives, are going to advise her, and they're going to take away the girl from him.
Nice.
Mafki
Oh,
lamina.
very good.
So they'll get around.
They still has a more positive view of human nature. And Beishamah is
Mm.
like really.
On the spot, that's right now. Let me go what I could. He still
Right.
says he thinks a little bit. He
Right.
thinks that I should be good in order that I should. That was the third reason. And now I think this is the fourth reason now, fourth and final reason. This is Rava. Rava says because I know time of the Beishamai, the Shein Adam Tarech Besuda Umafsida. How come we don't allow? I'm sorry. How come we don't allow her to do mion after the suin? Because a person would not want to exert himself to make the feast, the meal, and then to lose it. It means that he's investing in making the suda, the wedding party. There's the tircha of making the suda, and then he's going to lose it. It means that he's not going to invest in making. He's not ready to make a wedding party, only if he knows that it's in. But if she still has the option of getting out, then he wouldn't want to make the whole effort that goes into making a wedding. Rashi, that people are not going to marry. Means, in other words, this is Rashi before. I got the wrong Rashi. Yeah, same thing again. Rashi says, people are not going to get married and make the whole tircha of getting married. The Gemara talks about the feast. I don't know if we all means the feast, but whatever's included in getting married, people are not going to do all that. Married, we're talking about consummating the marriage, making the nisuin. Everything means that he gives her a ring and she's still in his father's house and they meet once in a while. Everything's very nice, called by phone calls. But when they actually come to live together, all the effort that's involved in that, call it the party, whatever you want to call it, the whole wedding feast, the band, whatever goes into it, he's not going to do that if it's only going to be on a suffix. That it might be absolved tomorrow, but she has the option of absolving it tomorrow. He's not going to go into it. And we want to have people willing to marry these girls. That's the whole point. We wanted to encourage the girls to be able to get married, this Isoma. So in order to encourage people, we say that once the marriage happens, it's not going to be absolved anymore.
And is Rava going to say Ada Rava, like the other one? It seems like he could say, no, he'll go ahead and make this beautiful party, and that'll show her that she'll give her incentive to stay in the marriage. He's not going to say that.
It doesn't say. The next words are that people are. He says both of them. Really, the Gemara doesn't need about the woman. We need about the man. Happens to be that both of them, the husband and the wife, they both are happy that they're called married. It should go out on them a voice of marriage. That means a reputation of marriage. Marriage. That they're happy to be called married. That there's a incentive to people to be called married. that alone is an incentive that they should get married. And even though it's going to be on a doubt that they might absolve it, and then later on the whole thing goes off. But the fact that they were married is something
Oh, it
that's
tips the
worth.
scale that
That he'll
there's
marry.
less chance that she'll.
Right,
be
he's thinking, we're thinking, are the boys going to be ready to marry such girls? If they'll be able to absolve the marriage after they made the whole wedding, then it's going to be absolved. The girl has the
Rabbi
option of
says, no, she'll
absolving
be
it.
so happy to be married, to be called married.
Right, he,
Oh,
we're talking about him. Really, the point is him, not her. Her is not the point. The point is him. Are we by giving her the option? She has no problem. She's the one who has the option. So she gets married, then she can absolve if she wants to. She doesn't want to, she won't.
I
But
said
him,
he will be happy to be a married man.
right, even though it might be absolved, it's worth it for him. Even though it's all the expense and all the exertion of the meal.
But
then
then
it
what's
comes
the
out.
travail?
So, right, you don't really need to buy over here. Tysus points out that some don't have the gifts, some have a gift that says him, leave out her, it's not the point. Tysus points out in the bottom that she's also happy. A woman is even happier to be called married than a man. Tysus brings down that point, that it's the nature of a woman to be happier, more important to her to be married than it is to a man. Like he says in the bottom line, that more than a man wants to get married, a woman wants to. But you don't need it for Gemara. The point, the difficulty is in Gemara, you don't need it. That's not the point. The point is him. So either that's throwing it on the side or change the gears and talking is only him. So those are the 4 reasons for Beis Shammai. And again, we don't pass on Beis Shammai, we pass on Beis Hillel. But as far as Beis Shammai, how come he said that you're not allowed to do miyun? There's no miyun. One she did Nesuin, we have Shmuel, Rabbi Rav Yosef, Rav Papa, and then Rava. The 4 possibilities. Either people shouldn't make a mistake. They don't think there was a Tanai that happened. The way that they absolved was a Tanai, and that's not true. In Tanai and Nesuin, Rabbi Rav Yosef, that people are not going to want to get married to such a girl. If the Marfreya could come out that it wasn't a marriage and they just had relations without marriage, people don't want to do that. They're not going to marry. Rav Papa said that we want to protect the estate of the woman by making sure there's not going to be aggressive to take out the property, take out the payros, because he's scared she might leave. And the last reason was that the person's not going to want to get married and make the whole effort of making the suit or whatever is involved, and then she's going to absolve it. And all these reasons, Beis Hillel is not choshesh. And he passed on Beis Hillel that she could do me and even after the suit. Next Gemara goes on the second machlokis of in the Mishnah, which was about Bebal or Beyavam. He's according to Beis Shammai, only could do miyun as long as the husband is alive. And once the husband died, then there's no more miyun. Once she comes to the yavam, then she needs chalitza or yibam, but there's no more just refusing and say I want out. And he still says even by the yavam also, even after the husband died, to the yavam also there's possibility of doing miyun. The simple words of the Mishnah, I would have gotten the impression that it means that she could tell the yavam also, the whole marriage is off. I never was married. The whole thing is absolved, and I wasn't married to your brother, and I don't know you. Goodbye. That's what I would have thought. But the Gemara says a little different. The Gemara is going to say that it's not so simple what Beis Hillel means to say. When in the first Gemara we discussed Beis Shammai. That's what we just discussed 4 Pshat and Beis Shammai. Now we're going to be discussing Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel says that it's possible to do miyun even after the husband died, and that's what the Gemara is going to discuss now. And there's going to be 2 opinions about what Beis Hillel meant to say. There's going to be Rav Oshaya, and Amar Beis is going to be Ula. There's going to be a machlokas over here. Beis Shammai Yomim Bebal, and I have to continue, and etc. Beis Hillel says Bebal U'Yavam. We're not going on the words Beis Shammai, going Beis Hillel. Even by the Yavam, it's possible to do miyun. Amar Rav Oshaya, B'ma'enes L'mamoro, B'ena Ma'enes L'zikaso. All Beis Hillel meant to say that she could do miyun is only to the ma'amar of the yavam. Means when it comes to the yavam, there's a zika, and then it could be mama if he does mama. What does zika mean? That she's connected to the yavam because the husband died, then there's a mechuyavut, there's an obligation to do miyun. So she's connected to the yavam. So he says, even Beis Hillel holds she cannot absolve that connection. Means against what I said. I said that the Pasha says, according to the Mishnah seems to say that even after the yavam, she can say, I don't want the whole marriage, the whole thing is absolved, then I don't know you. This says no. So she can't say she wants the whole marriage to be off from the first husband. Her first husband is dead already. But only in the case where the yavam did mamar, and usually mamar of a yavam needs a get. If you want to stop it, so then she needs a get. That for that marriage, for that mamar that the yavam did, for that the woman could say, I don't want. The marriage that you did to me, the mamar that she said about Mukadeshasli, that she could absolve. But she cannot absolve the connection that she has to the yavam because of the first husband, the brother. Again, I'm going with one. Zika means
the
what?
mamar also has a zika.
That's not called zika. That's called mamar. Zika
We're
means,
talking about the yevamos, who's the brother of the dead guy.
right,
He gives mamar.
right. Avet Mekudeshesli.
And it means like
It's a
that means
marriage,
like
it's
I'm
kedushin.
prepared to do evil.
Right. So really, right. Even
That's what
the
it
right way to
means,
do
doesn't
it,
it?
and then it does evil.
Oh, but I say, but it's a marriage.
It called it a kedushin. It's kedushin.
Uh-huh.
It's a kedushin that really you don't need. Midaraisa, he
Yeah.
does do yibum. But the proper way to do is first to do kedushin, and then he has relations.
So Hillel saying that mamar is
Can't-
something she can
Absolve.
ma'in.
Right. But she cannot mema'in, she cannot absolve the original marriage that made obligation. Means she's
Oh,
still,
you mean
she's
even
still
though she says not you, but then she's still obligated?
right, then she needs chalitza. She cannot
Uh-huh,
say
right.
she
Avanti.
cannot say the whole thing is off. You know, your brother was a nice guy, but I don't want it. I'm afraid I want the whole marriage to be off. I don't want it, and therefore I'm not connected to you, and I can just leave. That no. Imam says because of the zika still on, and she has to get a chalitza. The whole point we're saying is that if he would have done mama, the Yavam did a mama, and then usually she would need a chalitza and a get. She needs a chalitza for the zika and a get for the mama. Yeah, for the mama, it's enough that she just says, I don't want you, and therefore the mama is off. But the zika is still on, and she has to get chalitza. And the Gemara is discussing a little bit, Rabbi Shai, before we get to the next opinion on number base is going to be my focus about this. On Rav Chisda, my time with the Rabbi Shai, why does he say that? Mama de midaita matzi akra, zika de balkol chala matzi akra. The mama that she did willingly means she accepted. When he says Avet Mekudeshesli, it's only because she's accepting it, like any marriage, that the woman has to be willing. If a man goes over to a woman, Avet Mekudeshesli, and she doesn't want, there's nothing. So here is midata. So that she could approve. But the zika, which has nothing to do with her agreement, as soon as the husband died, she becomes connected to the yavam. So that we didn't give her the ability to approve. The Master Kasha, bottom line, by Rebia, the Balkarcha, Umatzia Akra, when the yavam has bia, has a relationship with her, so that's Balkarcha. The halacha of Yibum could be, even if it was Balkarcha, also it takes effect, he's calling her, and he's saying that she could be okay with. What does that mean that she could be okay with? So Rashi says that she would not need a get for the bia. Means Rashi on top here, Shalot tzricha get for biyaso. The Amri Beisel and Enes Liyavam the Midabal. What if they had relations? What if they did relations? Could she say, even after they had relations, could she say, I don't want? They did Yibum. There was a man, the first husband died, and there was a Yavam, and they had relations.
That's what point is between the Shai and herself.
Because he's saying by Nesu always. But here, according to Bisala, we're going to Bisala now, and by the husband, she would be able to do Mian even after the marriage. So here, she could do Mian also after that. So it comes out that Bisala holds that she could do Mian to the Bia of the Yavam.
Yeah.
So that's even more kocha. So the one is asking that according to your svara, Rav Chisda, you're saying that Rabbi Shai does not allow something which is Bia. You said that the reason that she cannot uproot it is because it's balkarcha. Bia also is balkarcha, and she could uproot it. It comes out an interesting thing that according to Bisela, they're saying that she could get out of the Bia by saying I don't want, even though she still needs chalitza. They did Yibum. As that comes out of it, I'm confused about this. It comes out that the Yavam, they had relations, and then she says she doesn't want, and then you're going to do chalitza.
How can it be? You're up to Yibum,
But this,
and then they had a relationship.
but the
She has to
Yibum,
give him a get. I mean, he has to give her.
you're talking about a regular case, but here's a katana, and she's able to absolve the relationship. So it comes out that the relationship is nothing. Beisila. And even though it's a Yavam, she's going to absolve that. Now there's still a Zika that still says you cannot uproot the Zika. That's what Rabbi Shai is saying. So it's a fascinating thing that's happening. That she fell to the Yavam, they had relations, and then she doesn't want, and you need chalitza.
Because if you didn't have relationship, she would still need chalitza.
But now she had relationship.
Right.
And usually she has regular marriage. Here she uproots the marriage and you need chalitza. That's what comes out.
Yeah.
So the Gemara says that the Bia Mama do but the Gemara is asking that it isn't totally in Balkocha because Balkocha, the Bia is also Balkocha, and he said that she could uproot the Bia. Ella, Bia, so we're changing a little bit. Bia Mama the hookah of it, Matzia Akra. Zika the Rahmana Ramale, lo Matzia Akra. That things that he does, the man does, the Bia he does, the Mama he does, that's what we gave her ability to uproot. Not the point about if it's Balkocha or not, but if he's doing it. But the Zika that the Torah made, so then she can uproot it. All this was Rabbi Shaya that said that even though by Yavam, the Yisrael says that she could uproot, she could do miyun to the yavam also. That's only as far as the mamar or the bia, but not as far as the zika. The zika she cannot agree with, and she still will need chalitza. That was all Rabbi Shaya. And now Ula says differently. Ula's arguing on Rabbi Shaya. Ula Amar Mimanis Afal Zikasa, that she has the ability even to remind the zika also. Which l'chara the words would mean, I think they don't say it like this. L'chara the words would mean that she uproots the whole thing, and she doesn't have to have chalitza either. She could uproot the whole thing. I think the Rishonim say different. I'm just trying to read the words. Maybe we'll get stuck on the way. But Ula is saying that she has the ability not only to uproot the mamar that the yavam did, but even the zika, she also could uproot by saying that I don't want this marriage. I don't want the marriage of the husband either, and the whole thing is off.
The thing, the idea of the zika, what's the zika?
Zika means when a man dies without children, so then the woman is
She's not free.
obligated
She's not free.
obligated to the yavam, connected to the yavam. So Ula is saying that she could uproot that also. The Rishonim, I think, things are different. Say that she's also going to need chalitza according. Let's just read the Gemara. He says she could uproot also the zika. My timer, the suy kamei roika akra. She's uprooting the original marriage. She's uprooting the original, not to the yavam. She's uprooting the original marriage.
Like
And therefore
what
the
you
whole-
originally said.
right? What?
Like you originally said.
Right. I would have thought so.
Yeah.
I'm scared that the Rishonim say not like me, and maybe the Gemara is going to be a bit bumpy.
Uh-huh.
But at this point, I would think that Ula says you could even uproot the whole thing, even after the husband dies. He
Because the
said,
first,
right,
because she really didn't want the first guy.
right.
so the
Even
whole
though
thing's over.
even though she did want him, but now that she felt her husband, she wants to get out of this whole thing. So she says, I don't want him either, the original husband, even though after he died. That sounds like. And then the whole thing is off, and then she doesn't.
She
She's
doesn't
not.
need this, and she doesn't need this.
I would
she
think-
never
that's
did
what I would
me
think
into
so.
she never really did me into the first. He
Right,
died
but she's
before
doing
she could
right.
do
She's
it.
doing Mia
I
now.
mean, and after he's
She's
dead.
doing Mia now after he
He's
dies.
dead. Wow, that's cool.
Is it true? I'm not
After
sure.
he's dead, I see.
Maybe there's difficulty over there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then the pashas would be, I would think, that she does not need chalitza. The more
Like
continues.
the whole of both relationships.
The whole thing is over. She never was married. Esvei, Rav Ula, Kasha Anula, Kol Shechol L'Mayim V'Lo Miyana, Tzevasa Choletzes Lo Moshe Bemis. This goes back to the first Mishnah, all the way in the beginning of the Masechta, that it says that there's such a thing as Miyan. If there's the end of the first Mishnah, Beis Amud Beis, over there it says a girl who's able to do Miyan. That means that she's a Ketana, but she didn't, and her husband died, and she had a tzara. What's the case over here?
What's tzara?
So Rasa,
Oh,
Choletzes Lo Moshe
co-wife?
Bemis. The
Co-wife.
co-wife, right? Yeah, that was the beginning of the Masechta.
Yeah.
So you had here a woman who was married to a man. She's a Ketana. She also had a co-wife who's a Gedola. The Ketana was an Erva to the Yavam. We had the whole the beginning,
Right.
a sister, a daughter, whatever it was might be. So if it would have been an adult, let's say it would have been an adult woman,
Right.
so then we know the din of Sarah Erva. She's no Yibum to her either. Not only the Erva doesn't do Yibum,
Right.
what's the case again? A man had two wives. One of them was a relative of his brother.
Right.
And when he dies, the brother cannot marry his relative. It's his daughter, his sister. So there's no Yibum.
chalitza.
And there's nothing. And not even to the Tzara
Not to the
either.
Tzara either.
Not only her, even the Tzara Erva also.
Right.
That's the first Mishnah in the Masechta.
Right.
That not only does the Erva know Yibum or Chalitza, even the co-wife also is
Mhm.
Pater, goes out free.
Right.
So over here, the case is that the Erva is a Ketana. It's only Kedushin Drabana. The Erva is Kedushin Drabana. So surely there's no Yibum to her, no Chalitza. But how about the Tzara Erva? But the Raisa is no. But the Raisa, this girl, the Ketana is not married. So this co-wife is not a co-wife. She's the only one. So really, with the Raisa, she has to have Yibum. And with Rabbanan, she
The
can't do Yibum.
co-wife is, she was married first.
So doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. She's married, and the other one's not really married. The Ketana, her husband
not
has another
really
wife.
married.
That's not really married. So as far as the Torah is concerned, she's the only wife, and her husband died without
Katana
children
was related to who?
to the brother,
Oh, to the brother of the husband.
right?
Yeah.
And now when the husband dies, she's really the only wife, and she should do Yibum to the brother,
The co-wife
the co-wife.
Yeah.
But with Rabbanan, there's a co-wife who's an Erva.
was in there.
So on Rabbanan view, she can't do Yibum. So she doesn't do Yibum. What do they do? Chalisa without Yibum. That's what it says. Kol sheichol l'mayim v'lo miyana, tzevasa choletzes lo Moshe Bemis. That's the Mishnah. And then what
That's
is
a
that?
kasha, though, right?
That what?
That's a kasha,
What's the kasha?
because we said that if everything's off,
Ah,
then there's nothing. So it doesn't matter that she's in there, but it
Right.
never was a marriage in the first place, and it doesn't matter that there was a co-wife.
right. That's the most kasha.
Okay.
That's the most kasha of Amai. That's so far as the Mishnah. And now the Gemara is asking Amai, according to you, Ula, that you could absolve the whole thing retroactively to Ma'ain Hashta, but Takminu l'nisui kamoy, the Tisyav Rasa. Why not tell her now, after the husband died, tell her to refuse retroactively, and the whole thing is off. And now the co-wife can do Yibum. How come the Mishnah says that she can't do Yibum? Because there's this heir of a co-wife in the way. Take her out of the way. She should remove herself by doing Miyun retroactively, and then the other wife is the only wife, and she could even do Yibum. Kasha is good.
Oh, I see. I didn't really have.
That was your kasha. That was your kasha.
Yeah, okay. I had it wrong in my head.
But you said it right. So that's the kasha. The Gemara answers Soras Erev Bashani. This case is different. The fact that there's a Soras Erev is different. Why? The time Rambam by Yecheskel, the Rambam by Yecheskel seems to hold, this Brisa seems to hold like Ula, that there is a possibility to do miyun. Miyana beval muteres la'avid. What if there's a regular case? A woman, a ketana, she was married to a husband, and then she refused. She wants out. Because she married the husband's father, the ex-husband's father.
This Bryce is saying yes.
What do you think?
Seems very weird.
Why?
Why? If she's me and it was never on, so
Oh, very-
it's just like a strange.
Very good. So you're saying that you're saying that it's good. It makes sense that if the woman did miyun, so the whole marriage is absolved, never was, and therefore why not have relations with married the father? So that's what it says. But how about biyavam, miyana biyavam, that she fell to Yibum, the husband died. She fell to Yibum, and then she did miyun to the yavam, then she can't marry the father anymore. Why not? What's the difference?
What does it mean? She fell to the
The husband died, so now she's obligated to the yavam.
the brother.
Yeah, the yavam is the brother, right?
Yeah.
And
so-
then she did miyun then.
and did me to him too.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Whatever miyun is, and then it says she cannot marry the father anymore.
Right.
Why not?
I don't know. Doesn't make
She
sense.
absolved everything.
Yeah.
Alma b'shas nefila nearest kekalasa. Since at the time of Yibum, it looks like his daughter-in-law, because the marriage was still on. At that
Right.
point, she didn't do miyun yet. So there was a point where it was officially confirmed in Bezdin that there's a woman here who has a father-in-law. So once that happened, we're not going to say that it's absolved because it looks already. It went out a rumor that not a rumor, a call.
Voice,
It
yes.
went out the news that she's related to this guy.
Yeah.
So we're not going to allow her to marry him anymore. At the time, since when the husband died, this should be able to marry the Yavam, since at the time that the Nefila happened, the fact that the husband died and she fell to Yibum, so she was called a Tzara Serva. We're not going to allow something to happen now and make her to be able to marry.
Because it's too much.
The news.
She really is like a co-wife.
It looks like a co. The world heard that she's a co-wife. That's usher to marry the brother, and now you're gonna make that she could marry. That we don't allow.
Father.
Right. The father here the case is going to be the Yavam, the Tzara Serva.
Right, but they have the same fathers, two brothers.
Yeah, I'm sure the same father, but now you're gonna the voice went out that she's a Tzara Serva because the
Even
Ketana.
though she should be able to marry him, do the.
Right, even though
Yeah,
when the
you don't
Ketana
put
does
the
Mia, the whole thing is off from a prayer, and she's not a Tzara Serva anymore because she doesn't have a Tzara. She's the only single wife. But since there was already confirmed, well, not the word confirmed, it was authorized when they
News, like you
the
said.
news came out
Yeah.
that she's a Tzara Serva. She cannot marry the Yavam. Now we're going to do something, and the next day she's going to marry the Yavam. That doesn't look good.
Okay, according to Base Hill, she could do me to 5 different brothers. One, she does me to one brother, then the next day the next brother. and
Why
then the next one.
why is she doing that? Why are you talking about many brothers? Usually we talk
When
about
we say,
many
Base Hill
husbands.
says I can do 5 different. That
She gets married again and again and again. Who's she
Not
getting?
to-
Who's she
not
getting
to
married to?
brothers.
Who's she
Not
getting
to
married to by the Yavam? She's marrying the Yavam.
No, forget about Yovam.
So which brothers do you mean? Which brothers? You say
No.
brothers.
Okay, let's say she does me with Ruvain, okay? And then after she says, no more Ruvain. Then she wants to do it with Shimon, Ruvain's
Oh,
brother.
could she marry a brother after she was
Yeah,
married
that's
one?
right.
Because you're not new with him, no Yibum,
No
no
Yibum.
Yibum. She
Make it
refused
work.
him while he was
She refused
alive.
him, right.
She refused him, and then she wants to marry
She
another
wants to go
brother.
Shimon, and she wants to go
L'chorah,
Levi,
l'chorah.
Yehuda.
The same way as her father. If it
That's what
says
I'm
that
saying.
me and Abba, she not
Just
married her
like the
father,
father.
so also her brother
That's what I'm
l'chorah,
saying.
l'chorah. No one should do anything. No one's doing anything anyway.
I just
But
say-
l'chorah, you're right.
That's
That since they're not married, the marriage is all absolved. They're not married, so she's allowed to have relations with all these people. Get married to all these people, and then she absolves it.
Right.
Sounds like it. The Gemara continues. I'm around. I think it's a new Gemara over here, a new subject. I mean, not such a new subject, but we have so far machlokas between Rabbi Shaya and Ula. I didn't get the Gemara so clear over here, but I get the impression everyone's going like a Bashaya now. And there's going to be like 3 or 4 opinions coming up, and I think that it starts a new sugya. We'll try to highlight it as we go along. Yeah, but I'm around. If she did me into one of the brothers, she felt the Yibum,
Right,
and she did me into the Yavam.
right.
And there's another brother.
Well, I'm sorry, who's the Zen, the Zen? Well, obviously,
One brother and another brother.
oh,
There were 2 brothers. Her husband died. She's a Ketana. She married her husband. He died. And there's a Yibum case.
Right.
And she did me into one of the brothers.
Right. So she.
So she's also to all the brothers.
Right, that makes sense, like, she, the same way that she would be also to the father, that she would be also to the brothers, makes sense. Because they're the
No,
same
just-
people who call them. Yeah. If
he-
she's also- if
I
she's
thought
also-
he's alive, isn't he?
No, who's alive?
What is me in on?
She refused to one of the brothers. Don't want Yavam now. We're going to
We're
the
only
Yavam.
going to the Yavam?
Yeah, the husband died, and now is the Yavam. Beishamai says no such thing as me into the Yavam. They still says the Baal of the Yavam. It's possible to do me into the Yavam also.
Right.
Yeah, Machlok Zebashai Nabula, is she able to uproot the Zika or not? Or maybe only the Ma'amar? I think they're talking about the Ma'amar now. There was a Ma'amar. There was not only Ula, not the case we just said. There was a Ma'amar that one of the brothers did, and she said, I don't want. She uprooted the Ma'amar that he did. She's not allowed to marry the other brothers also. Me did have a balas a get, just like if one of the brothers would have given a get to the Yevama,
Right,
that balas a get, if the woman got a get from one of the brothers, she's also to marry all the brothers.
Right.
Like once they pushed her away from the family, no one's allowed to marry her, so the get would have made her rasa to all the brothers. So do the mian also makes her rasa to all the brothers. That was wrong. Shmuel Amar, mian abazeh muteres lazeh. He says no, that even though she did miyun to one of the brothers, he did mama, and then she did miyun to that mama,
right,
but still she's allowed to marry the other brothers. It's not the same as a regular person who got a get. Balas a get who the covered ba, he covered the bait. Why you get? One of the brothers says, I don't want you. He gave her a get, he pushed her away. So she was pushed away from the family, so then nobody else could take her either. He like represents the rest of the family. But over here, she's the one who pushed herself away. And she says, I don't want you. I don't want you. These words, Lo Re'ina, Lo Savina, I'm not sure the difference in the Aramaic, but she's saying, I don't want you. Lo Chapasti B'cha, Lo Ratzisi Otcha. So therefore, she's the one who's saying that I don't want you. So Bachu de Lo Re'ina, Ba'bachar B'chreina. That's only saying, I don't want you, but not that I don't want the other brothers. You I don't want. By the get, so one of the brothers says that she's pushed away. That pushes away from all the brothers. But here, just because she said to one of the brothers that I want you, that doesn't really necessarily mean that other brothers not. So therefore, he says that even if she did me into one of the brothers, she still would be allowed to marry other brother.
but what's the difference if he pushes, if the man pushes off the lady, off the lady?
I think because she's pushed away from the family like that. She's pushed away from the family, and the get is you're pushed away. But here, the whole way me and works is that I don't want you. I don't want you doesn't mean that I don't want the other ones. That's what the word seemed to say. That was the second opinion. That was Rav Shmuel. And then Rav Asiyama. If she did me to one of the brothers, she even could marry him.
If she did immune to who?
One of the brothers.
She can
She can
she can even marry who?
Him.
Who's
The
him?
one she did immune?
One she did me to.
Oh, really? Oh, she decides later that she wants to marry him, then she can.
What would he say? If everything is absolved, mamish l'ma prayer, so then I understand that there was no marriage. She never was married to the first husband either. And now she fell to the Yavam and she absolves the whole thing. If it's possible to say that, so then I would understand that everything is absolved. Why?
Maybe she can marry him.
Because it's not a brother-in-law. She had a
When did she
husband.
do me?
Right.
What?
When did she do me into
No.
this?
Now, after the marriage, after the Yavam, after the husband died, then
He
she fell to
did
the
Yavam.
Yavam. No.
No.
What did he do? Mama?
Let's say he did Mama.
He did Mama and she refused, and so now she can marry him.
Now, let's say, why could she marry him?
She married because the original
Because the
husband was not
Mamar
a
goes on
marriage.
the husband.
If you say the original
on the
marriage,
gender.
if you said, like I said before, the original was not a marriage, so then it would make sense. But if we said even according to Ula, once if there was a falling of evil, we don't not allow her to absolve the whole marriage as if it never was, because it already was confirmed in Bezdin that there's such a relationship. So I don't think the Gemara is saying that the whole thing is over from the first husband, but we're talking about that Mian that she did. Mian abazem b'teres afilu lo.
Could it be that the miyun is absolved, but the zika still stands, that something has to be done? So then.
So she's going to be marrying him as
he already
Yibam.
did Yibam.
So let's see. That's what the Gemara explains it right away. The Gemara had Rav, Shmuel, and Rabasi. Now the Gemara is trying to figure out Rabasi. The Gemara says Lema ki Rabashaya spivole. Rabasi seems to hold like Rabashaya. What does Rabashaya say? Dama ena mama ena zikasa. She's not possible to cut the ties of the zika, and therefore it's as if she didn't do me. It's as if she didn't do me, as if she didn't do anything. So there's no reason why she shouldn't marry him. There's still a zika, and the miyam didn't do anything. The miyam sounds like it would have stopped that he did a mamar, and then she did miyam. But if the miyam doesn't affect the zika at all, it's as if she didn't do anything. So you can still go on with the yibum. The Gemara says it's true, but not a proof that mamish holds like a bashaya. The chad yavam achinami the matzi okay. Maybe he argues in a bashaya and says that there's only one yavam, she would be able to be okay the zika also. Maybe there's a different reason why over here you can't do miyun, because there are two yavamin, and by saying to one of them, I don't want you, that's not a way of doing miyun. It's true. Rabasi holds as if there's no miyun was done. It is true. Rabasi says that she can marry him still, is because we look at it as if she didn't do any miyun. Why is it if she didn't do any miyun? Either because it was like a vashaya that you never could be okay the zika with the miyun, or in this case that there are two brothers and you only said to one of them I don't want, so you can't be okay. You can't approve half a zika. But either way, Rabasi was saying that the miyun as if it didn't happen, and therefore she still could marry him. The Gemara continues. Kiyasa Rabin. There seems to be a fourth opinion or something. The Gemara wants to know what Rabin's Kiyasa Rabin. 2 lines before splits. Those are the words that he said. If she did miyun to one, she's mutter to the brothers, which sounds very much like Shmuel. I'm not sure. It sounds like Shmuel. Shmuel said miyun abazem muteres lazeh. That's what it sounds like. She's not mutter to him himself, but she is mutter to the other brothers, which sounds like Shmuel. But the Gemara is going to analyze him. Miyun abazem muteres lachin. But it says v'lahodulo. But other chachamim did not agree to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said miyun abazem muteres lachin, but lo hodulo. The other chachamim didn't agree to Rabbi Yochanan. Man the hodulo, who didn't agree to him? Rabbi Rav. Rav doesn't agree to him because Rav says that not mutter to the brother. That's how the Gemara started. Rav said, "Miyan abazeh asur lazeh," and he says opposite. Miyan abazeh muteres lachin. That surely makes sense. Rav Amar Rabbi Shaya. Rav says that he's not like Rabbi Shaya. Rabbi Shaya wouldn't agree to him because he would say l'chora that it's mutter even to the brother himself. Either Ravashi or Rabbi Shaya or Ravasi, both of them say that it's mutter even to him himself. So we have here 3 shittas. We have Rav, Shmuel, and Ravasi. Rav says Miyan abazeh is even also to the brother. Shmuel says also to him, mutter to the brother, and Ravasi says mutter even to him. And Rabbi Yochanan seems to say the same as Shmuel, and it's against Rav, and it's against Ravasi, it's against Rabbi Shaya, because he said that it's also to the brother, to the one that did miyun himself, and mutter to the others. And Rav said also to everybody, and Rav Asi and Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shaya said mutter even to the one who did miyun himself.
What's the Ba'amri? I'm missing.
And some say, Rabbi said he's against.
It
says,
the one that said Rabbi Yoshaya, and some say that it was Rabbi.
Means that who is not agreeing to Rabbi Yochanan? Rabbi Yochanan said miyun abazem mutar lachin, and some chacham didn't agree to him. Who didn't agree? Either Rav or Rabbi Shaya, and some say Ravasi.
Some say Ravasi. Some say.
The Gemara continues. I'm sorry we're going overtime to all those that are waiting online. I'm sorry we're going overtime each day. We're doing our best. And Basil says only even shlo b'fanav. When you do miyun, back to miyun, nothing to do with yibum anymore. Just miyun. How do you do miyun? Beishamai says not in the face of the husband, and Basil says he doesn't have to be like. There was the camel driver, his name was Pishon, and he had a woman who was a ketana, and she did miyun even not in front of him. That famous story. Everybody knows that Bezdin allowed the Pishon, the wife of Pishon, to do miyun even though he wasn't there, and you say it has to be dafka in his presence. Pishon, Agamol, the midah kfusha mada, the fikach mada do love midah kfusha. That he acted improperly, and therefore the Chachamim acted with him improperly. It means that they made an exception to the rule because he was a bad guy. What's midah kusha. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the word kusha means. Rashi says something about no, like he acted badly towards her. So since he actually acted badly, so therefore we acted badly. We went against the regular law. What happened? What did he do? The Gemara seems that he was taking a lot of her Paris of her estate. I said before, there's a monetary issue over here that he gets the money, and the Gemara says, "Achel peri." That there's another issue over here. Besides that, she did Mian not in his presence. Also, she did Mian even after she's in the sewer, because the whole issue of taking Paris is only after she was in the sewer. So this Pisha Nagamo, he married this Ketana, not only Erison, even did the Nisuin, and still they allowed him to do Mian. So it shouldn't be a Kasha and Beishamai only on one count. It should have been a Kasha and Beishamai on two counts. Beishamai would have said you can't do Mian after Nisuin, and you can't do Mian not in his presence, and they allowed her to do Mian against both of these problems. And then one says, you're right. Shrei Kipri Avdubei. They did 2 knots against him. That means that Achnami is a bad guy, so they allowed her to do Mian even after the Suin, and they allowed her to do Mian not in his presence. But Hillel does hold that you could do anybody could do Mian not in his presence. The next point, Beshama Yom B'fnei Bezdin, and Bezil says even not a Bezdin. So now Mishnah Pashpashat means you don't need a Bezdin for Mian. It says in Mishnah in Sanhedrin, a Mishnah. It says you need 3 people, both for Chalitza and for me. You need a Bezdin. It's against our Mishnah. Mantana, Amirabba, Beishamai. That Mishnah is only according to Beishamai. According to Beishamai, there is no Bezdin from you. Abai Amar, I feel the same Beishalel. I've come to Beishalel with Lobin and Mumchin. Abba Shlosha Binan. Beishalel and our Mishnah, when they say you don't need 3, they don't mean to say you don't need 3. You do need 3. You don't need 3 Dayanim. You don't need 3 Mumchin. You don't need 3 Chachamim. You can have 3 Adiotas, but you do need 3. Kidatanya, there is such a brisa. Beshama Yom B'fnei Bezdin. Put in the word Mumchin. Beshama Yom B'fnei Bezdin Mumchin. B'Salom B'fnei Bezdin. Shlobo B'fnei Bezdin. Eil Ve'el Modem Shesach Shlosha. Everybody else you need 3, but you don't need a Bezdin. You don't need Chachamim. You can have even not Chachamim, but you have to have 3. So we could say
surely hold by Chalitza you need 3.
right, right. Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, Machshim B'Shnayim. They say beferish even 2. That these 2 people, Rabbi Yehuda and Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, say that even 2 is good enough. Right. According to Beisilo, they don't need a Bezdin at all, which is the Pashas in our Mishnah. They don't need a Bezdin. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yumi, Rabbi Nachman Alocha, Kol says, we pass like that pair of Chachamim, that Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, you don't need a Bezdin, 2 is good enough. They say even 1 is good enough. Even none is good enough. If you don't need a Bezdin, you don't need anything. But you have to have Aiden. You have to have Aiden to testify that there was a Mian, just for proof, not for the Chalos. So it comes out, we pass in like the Pashas of the Mishnah, and the Mishnah Sanhedrin is not Allah. The Mishnah Sanhedrin says you have to have 3. Right. That's Beishama. You don't need 3. 2. You don't need that Bezdin for a Mian. The next point was about 4 or 5 times. Hillel says you can do Mian a few times. She get married and then absolve it, get married to somebody else and absolve it. And Beishamai says no, only 1 time. But the way Beishamai said, we saw the Mishnah didn't read well. Let's go back to the Mishnah a second. Right, it says Mian again. It says here, Enes. Right, it says, why is it not going over here? I'm not sure. Okay, Mema Enes. What's that about? It says she does Mian. She married 1 time. So if an and then she refuses, and then she waits till she becomes big. Okay, and fine. Then they get married. So why say again with Timon? She did Mian already. That doesn't read. And that's the Gemara now.
Okay, she did Mian.
She did Mian.
And they stayed married till she was.
No, they should know that. She doesn't stay married. She Mian. She's out. She goes back home to mother and brother, and then she waits till she becomes an adult, and then she gets married. But it says do Mian again. What does that mean? What does it mean? The words don't read.
Married the same guy, and now.
No, not married the same guy. I married somebody else. It says do Mian again. Do Mian again. So what does that mean? But Mian Chodism. She did Mian already. Why should she do Mian a second time? Again, it says she should do Mian. Wait till she gets big. Do Mian, and then get married to somebody else. Doesn't make sense. Amar Shmuel, she has to confirm the original
No,
Mian.
but she was a Ketana. Maybe she made it called half married and therefore Mian. No.
Mian always absolves it. Mian absolves the marriage. Here it says a chiddush. Bishamai says she has to confirm it when she has to confirm the Mian when she becomes a Gedol. Maybe it comes out according. We didn't hear about it. Could have said a regular case, not about 4 or 5 times. Here it says according to Bishamai, she does Mian, but before, when she becomes a Gedol, before she gets married to somebody else, we ask her to confirm the original Mian. If she doesn't confirm it, then she goes back to the first husband. She has to confirm original meaning.
And they say, oh, no.
But
It still doesn't have such a-
as a
yeah.
gedola, she doesn't have the she doesn't have the privilege of me.
She has to confirm the meaning that she did when she was a ketana. She has to confirm that
That her das was shalem.
she was a ketana. She was 10 years old, but she now, as a 12-year-old, she says,
Okay.
"I confirm that I don't
Confirm
want,"
my das.
and that's why she does mean again. They still doesn't know that. They still says she could do it a few times, even get married a few times, even when she's a ketana. Ula amar tati ketani. Rule says there's two different points to being said. One choice would tell her you could do mian, and then wait till you become an adult in order to get married. Oh, or if you want to, you could get married again, but only if you get married a full marriage, not just to do erisin, because we don't want you to do mian again. You have to do nesuin. Bishami holds after nesuin, you can't get out. Besols you could. Bishami says after nesuin, there is no backing out, no refusal. So if you want to get married to somebody, a full marriage right now, we will allow you. Again, Beis Shammai allows her to get married a second time, but you're not going to get out of it anymore a second time. Beis Shammai says only one time a meal.
Right.
So what does that mean? That you can do meal one time. You want to get married, you can get married, but you're not going to be able to get out of it. The way that we are that you shouldn't be able to get out of it is they do it soon also. The truth is, Beis Shammai could have said, we're not going to allow you to get out of it, even if you only do Erusin. But the way they said it is doing the suin, and then we'll allow you to get married again. You were 10 years old, you did meal, you want to get married 11 years old, you could. But a full marriage, not to wait a year in between, and do it right away. End the chuppah, the suin, the same night. Do the suin right away, and then she's not going to get out of it. That's what you do.
And the only way you get out of it is the get.
Yeah, that's the husband's issue already. But we're not leaving it to her
No,
anymore.
no.
It shouldn't be hefker. Bishlam Ulain the Tanya Chatangal Betinose. Ella Lishmuel Achatangal Betomar boy Kasha. The words according to the first shot, we said the first shot means she has to confirm it. So it shouldn't say again Betimoin. It should have said Achatangal Betomar. Not that she should refuse and marry again. Take out the word Betinose. It just say not how to say it, Tangal Betinose. The words make sense according to the second shot that she could get married right away.
Right, so still that one word that doesn't make sense.
Which word are we taking?
We're not taking out the word we're asking.
Should have deal.
But not Betinose. It should have said Betomar. Achatangal Betomar. It shouldn't have said Betinose. It should have said Betomar.
So the second Timoin is good.
No, everyone's bothered by the second Timor.
Right.
So one shot is that she has to confirm the meal,
Right.
and they should have said the Tomar I don't want. And the other shot is that she could get married right away. And the Mama Enes is just saying, you could be Mamain and wait till you get big, or you could be Mamain and get married right away. So that's why he says mine a second time.
And when it says kasha, it means because it's a kasha if the Mishnah was correct.
No, the kasha means that it doesn't fit. Your pshat doesn't fit so well into the Mishnah. It's a big dochak in the Mishnah. That's your everybody.
They're not saying that the Mishnah should meant that.
No, it's a kasha on Amora. The Amora who explains the Mishnah like this is not so good.
Yes.
It's not a kasha in the Mishnah, kasha on Amora.
Okay.
Yes, everybody. Thank you, and we'll be back with Navi. And I'm